Good evening. We're going to get started. This evening we have Devin Krause with First United Methodist Church that's going to lead us in our invocation.
Would you join me in prayer? Loving and gracious God, we give you thanks today for all your blessings. We pray for a blessed school year for our staff, teachers, students, families, all those that make what we do possible. Bless those who gather here today with your wisdom, courage, guidance, and strength. Be with us in our discussions and presentations. Guide us with your wisdom to make decisions that benefit our neighbors. Give us insight to foster a community of integrity and care for others in moments it would be easy to focus on ourselves. Give us humility to always seek your will in all we do and say, and may we be a living witness to your love and grace for all people everywhere. Amen.
Thank you, Devin. Okay. Call the meeting to order. We'll start with roll call. Colonel Little is absent. Matt Lohman. Present. Joe Blackwood. Present. Randy Long is absent. Kim Tinius.
Present.
Tori Turnbow is absent. Matt Sampson. Present. And Chad Mance is here. Takes us to 1B, presentations and recognitions. Jane Johnson.
Yes, tonight our spotlight students are from Taft Elementary School, and Mr. Kappas is going to introduce them.
Good evening. When I was told that we had the spotlight students of the month, it was an immediate response. I knew exactly who I wanted to bring up here. These two young men exemplify our GE principles such as kindness, friendship, compassion, helping others, and I think most importantly, joy. They bring joy to a lot of people's lives. So I'd like to introduce Brian Good and Rashawn Johnson. Brian?
I've been going to Taft Elementary since pre-K. During my time as a Taft Tiger, I've learned the 8 expectations, which have taught me how to be a good person and friend. My friend Rashawn has been one of my classmates for the last 3 years. We have been very good friends and work together very well. The teachers at Taft have taught me to be helpful and kind to others. I will definitely miss going to Taft when I go to middle school next year, but I will always make sure to keep being kind and accepting person to everyone I meet. Please stand. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Rashawn and Brian, thanks for coming out here tonight. Good job, both of you.
Our next spotlight student is from Waller Middle School, and Mr. Ray Henry is going to introduce him.
Good evening. Haley Howell is an 8th grade student at Waller Middle School. Since the 6th grade, she has never made a grade below a 97. She has only missed a half a day since her 6th grade year and throughout her entire middle school career. She participates in many organizations, activities, both in school and in her community. Haley is a shining example of what it means to embody our motto, be the reason. Haley Howell.
Hello, my name is Haley Howell and I am an 8th grader at Waller Middle School. I am excited that I have been chosen to tell you all about me. Here at school, I am in the band and jazz band in which I play the clarinet and the alto saxophone. I am also on the Palm Squad in Stuco and in NJHS. Speaking of that, I am running for Stuco president this week. Not only do I do many activities in school, I do many things out of school too. Some things I do outside of school include dance and youth group. My hobbies are hanging out with friends, playing games, listening to music, watching TV, and drawing. At Waller, I have been inspired by many of my teachers. I would like to mention 3 in particular. Firstly, Miss Eldora, the band director. She taught me how to play the clarinet in 6th grade and how to get even better every year. She is really nice and a great teacher. The second teacher I want to talk about is Miss Baker. In 6th grade, she was my geography teacher. Now she is the Stuco sponsor. Miss Baker is kind and very helpful. The last teacher I want to talk about is Miss Gladden. She was my 6th grade math teacher and is now my pom coach. She is very kind, supportive, and hardworking. I am very proud that I have been selected to be a Spotlight student. I'm very grateful to have this opportunity. Lastly, I would like to share my favorite things about Waller. I love how there are many events and things to do here. The staff gives us many opportunities. I would like to thank Dr. Darrow and Dr. Rhodes for having me. I would also like to thank the school board for their time and everyone here for listening. Again, thank you.
Good job, Haley, and best of luck with the Stuco president this week. Nice little plug there.
Waiting on my own introduction. Tonight, Mr. Liddell and I would like to take the time and honor our AP scholars. We are very pleased to recognize our students tonight for all their hard work and achievement. Every fall, the AP program recognizes high school students who have demonstrated outstanding college-level achievement through their performance on multiple AP exams. The AP Scholar Awards are academic distinctions that students may cite among their credentials on applications and resumes. Students do not receive monetary award money, though, from College Board, but it does help when they score well. When they go to college, it helps the parents with that extra credit that they're not having to pay for. AP Scholar Awards come in different types and levels. Tonight we're going to recognize several of our students, some that have graduated, on these 3 different distinctions. The AP Scholar is granted to students who receive scores of 3 or higher on 3 or more AP exams. The AP Scholar with Honor is granted to students who receive an average score of at least a 3.25 on all AP exams taken and scores of 3 or higher on 4 of those exams. And then our AP Scholar with Distinction is granted to students who receive an average score of at least a 3.5 on all AP exams taken and scores a 3 or higher on 5 of those AP exams. So we are very honored and fortunate to recognize 27 AP Scholars for Enid Public Schools.
Thank you, Dr. Rhodes. Guys, what I'm going to do is we're going to recognize the class of 24. Obviously, they're not with us this evening. They're all off doing other things, but we would like to recognize them anyway and give them a shout out. We'll go through that list first, then we'll follow back through with our students who are with us, mainly seniors with one junior in the mix, and we'll run down that list. So our AP Scholars, 19 students, first of this batch is our class of 24. Brandon Alcaraz, Avery Bushman, Emily de Guzman, Sonia Hernandez, Jory Houston, Michaela Lopez, Ashley Pacheco, Lauren Simpson, Hannah Turner, and Lucas Wood. All those students graduated in the class of 24 and were recognized as AP Scholars. Within that AP Scholar group, the next wave are students who are currently with us at Enid High School, and we're going to invite them up. As you hear your name, please come join us and receive your certificate. We have Ella Arnett, Blake Fuchsa, Hayden Griffin, Dana Gwynn, Annabelle Hamilton. Annabelle achieved that as a 10th grader. She's a junior this year, if my intel's correct. Escarlette Hernandez, Jaden Lamont, Kinsley Lebeda, although Kinsley's not with us tonight, she's playing softball right now. Ava Owen, and those are our current AP Scholars at Enid High.
Parents, if you want to come on down and take pictures, feel free to, once we get their certificates passed out. One more here. All right. Good job, guys.
AP Scholar with Honor, again, that's a 3.25 average or higher on all AP exams and getting a minimum of 4 of these. So that's really impressive. And we have one student who graduated, class of 24, Devin Taylor. And then we have 3 students, currently seniors at Enid High, Liberty Fulmer, Jacob Hassler, and Lena Kang. Come on down, guys.
Hold on, hold.
In our AP Scholar with Distinction, we have 4 students from Enid High, 3 from the class of 24, Savannah Crawford, Luke Finnegan, and Gabrielle Hunter. And our student who's a senior this year, and again, to get this, you had to have a 3.5 or higher average on your all AP exams and get at least a score of 3 on all 5 or more that you actually took. So a huge deal to be that AP Scholar with Distinction. Chance Carpenter is currently in his advanced computer class at NOC this evening, so still rocking on with his high level of academics. So we'll give them some love anyway, and they did great too. Thank you, guys.
Kids, thanks for coming out here tonight. Appreciate it. Love recognizing all of your hard work. The next group that we're going to recognize is the men in the back, our campus police officers. If you guys could go ahead and start heading down this way. I cannot think of a more important group than our campus police officers. And safety and security is and always will be our top priority in Enid Public Schools. And these guys work very, very hard every day, ensuring the safety of our students and our school and our staff. And I'm going to go ahead and read their names real quick, but definitely a great opportunity to recognize them and the hard work they do. Chief Priest is here tonight. He's going to present a little bit later. Second is Bob Fleer, Colton Harrell. Officer Lomway is coming down this way. Officer McGrath, Officer Pavlik, and Officer Rios. But again, on behalf of all of us, appreciate the job you do each and every day. You go above and beyond, and we're greatly appreciated. So if you guys would, let's give them a round of applause. Chief Priest, don't run off now.
All right, that takes us to item number 2, audience to visitors. We have none this evening. Then to 3, superintendent's report. Dr. Darrow.
Okay, first up is Officer Priest, and Officer Priest is going to give us a short synopsis of all of their duties that they do on a daily basis. I'll go ahead and turn it over to him. Told you not to run off.
One far away. Well, thank you for having me and letting me recognize my people. They do a great job. I'm very grateful for them. And like I say, thank you again. You introduced all of us, but Enid Public Schools Campus Police has 7 police officers. I am the chief. I'm also the director of safety and security. We have Officer Brian Rios. He's DARE certified. He'll be teaching second semester at Adams, Monroe, Taft, Hoover, and Prairie View. Officer Greg Pavlik, he handles our evidence and our mental health tablets with the Northwest Center for Behavioral Health. We've had those for a few years. We have seen a rise in the use of those this year. They do come in handy. They enable us to get our students in touch with a licensed mental health professional almost immediately. Officer Lomway, he's invaluable. He's able to reach out to a large demographic of our students that the other 6 of us can't. Plus, he's always smiling. I don't know how often y'all interact with Officer Lomway, but I can't really count too many times when he's not smiling. So he puts you in a better mood. Officer Ben McGrath, he's also DARE certified. He's the backup instructor for both first and second semester. Officer Colton Harrell, he is also DARE certified and is teaching right now first semester at Coolidge, Glenwood, Hayes, McKinley, Garfield, and Eisenhower. And then Officer Robert Fleer, I call him Bob. He is my second in command. Bob knows a lot, and he's been a great help to me. Today we had something that we don't deal with too often at a school system, which is fraud. And I was kind of forced for the trees looking past it, and he goes, well, it's this. And I was like, okay, you're right. I totally didn't see it. So he helps me a lot. I'm grateful for him. I'm grateful for all of them. They do a lot of work. For the most part, some days I go home and I'm kind of at a loss for words. My wife goes, what'd you do? I said, I'm not sure. So just a little bit about what we do on an ideal day. We have 3 campus police officers always at the high school. We have 1 campus police officer covering / visiting West Side campuses. We divide it up by Van Buren. 1 campus police officer covering visiting East Side campuses. 1 campus police officer visiting campuses teaching DARE and acting as a rover between all campuses. And then usually I am floating between all the campuses, handling various questions from administration, my people, handling truancy, etc. It's just kind of whatever's needed. We cover all schools before and after school. Now that's on an ideal day. So we have an Excel spreadsheet where Monday before and after school we may be at Hoover. If you're a West Side person, the next day they're at Prairie View, and it just rotates and it keeps rotating. On the east side, it may start at Longfellow and then maneuver on over, but that way we're seen. There's 7, I'm grateful for that, but there's not 18. We have 18 campuses if you count Carver and Fowler, so we do the best we can to be seen as much as possible. My officers have attended numerous trainings that allow us to make each campus safer, such as traffic collision investigations, handheld radar training. I call it using their tools. A lot of people don't like to talk about it, but a lot of it has to do with weapons training. The equipment, the tools that we have, all the way from our vehicles to our software. I use the term top notch. We don't play second fiddle to anybody in this area, and that means anybody, to the tools that we have to help and keep the campuses safe. Campus police officers respond to calls for service at each school. I cannot remember, well, I remember a couple. I don't know who's new to the board. Last year at this time, I told y'all how many calls for service we had handled, and I told you that it was far and above beyond what we had ever handled before at that point in the school year. We are once again above pace from even last year as of the end of today. We also attend the drills, the emergency drills at each school, safe school meetings, threat assessments at each campus. We verify addresses for enrollment center. We complete house visits for truancy, which has a lot to do with talking with Mitchie Lamley at Garfield County Juvenile Office. We recover Chromebooks. Not everybody that leaves turns everything in. Those Chromebooks cost money, so we do our best to go out and do home visits and recover those. And we're very successful, and Officer Lomway is extremely successful at it. It's amazing. We work security events such as middle school and high school football games. This year, in an effort to not take over anybody's job, but to help out with not only our campus's safety, but to also help out the police department. A couple of my guys went to some extra training with Enid's traffic unit. So we have ran some traffic in school zones. We actually have wrote a couple of citations, but we're not trying to take anything over. We're just trying to be more present. It's more of a reminder. It's a school zone. Please slow down. So we have done that. Our parking lots, if you go through the high school, you'll see they're all marked now with different signs, like permitted parking only. We do now. We've always had the ability to write whether it's a traffic citation or a parking citation, but now we are going to be more active. And just so everybody knows, we're not out to make money. Anything we write goes to the city of Enid. It does not come back to my department or the school. The parking citations, they will be accompanied by a note. Most parking citations are $25 citations. That citation will have a note on it that says, if you go to this room and you take care of what you're supposed to, then this will no longer exist. So we're not trying to find people out of existence, okay? That's not the bottom line. It's to help with who's on campus is supposed to be there, and we know who's there. And I'll end with, we have an excellent relationship with the Enid Police Department, the Garfield County Sheriff's Office, and the Oklahoma Highway Patrol, which only enhances our ability to keep each campus safe. All these law enforcement entities in our area have access to our schools. They do not take advantage of it. They know if they're needed, that they can access the school. This coming weekend, We're going to work the Great Land Run with Sheriff Rink and his people. There will be 7 campus police officers out there and 5 deputies. So we have a great relationship with a lot of agencies, and we do a lot of things with them. And that is really all I have to say.
Any questions for Chief Priest? I just want to tell you again, thanks for everything you do. You guys are unsung heroes, and you take care of us each and every day. And as a dad, as an employee, it's greatly appreciated. So, board members, any questions?
I'd just like to second that. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you having us. Y'all have a good night.
Okay, moving down, will be item B on student enrollment update. Just want to put something on your radar. Last month I reported we had 7543. That was our estimated student enrollment at the time, 7543. As of today, we are down to 7430. So it's a little concerning to me. Obviously, I wish that number was higher. After talking to a lot of school officials in the area, seems like several schools around us are lower. I was talking to the Stillwater principal the other night. Stillwater's a little bit down. Chisholm's down, Drummond's down, etc. So 7430 is where we're at. Mr. Rader went to a consortium this past Friday and reported the same thing, right, Randy? So just a little alarming, something we're tracking every day, something that I just want to put on your radar. I wish it was higher, and I hope it will be higher soon. So, saying that, I'm going to move to item B, and item B is definitely reflective of our enrollment. That is our current capacity numbers. We have to have those board approved every month, so I'll be seeking your approval on that. The only change on capacity numbers is that we added a pre-K at McKinley, so that'll be reflective on your document, but I just seek your approval.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the capacity numbers for any public schools? Okay,
A second.
Matt with a motion, Kim with a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote. Matt Lohman?
Yes.
Joe Blackwood?
I do have one question.
Okay.
McKinley's pre-K capacity 0, but enrollment of 20, availability -20.
So that's where the mistake is at. We added, if you'll remember last year, it was just an oversight. Last year we didn't have a pre-K program there, and we did this year. And then kindergarten actually needs to say 18 in kindergarten because we are down a kindergarten class there as well, and that's just due to enrollment there. So those numbers actually at the capacity are 18 for pre-K, 18 for kindergarten, and then the other numbers are accurate. Just an oversight.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Kim?
Yes.
Matt Sampson? Chad Mance, yes.
Okay, thank you all for that. We'll move on to item D, and that is our annual estimate of needs. I'll definitely be seeking your approval on this one too. I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Robinson in just a second. But a couple things I just want to highlight is that we're very, very fortunate that our district evaluation has gone up again for Enid Public Schools. That's puts us in a great spot. And when you talk about bonding capacity and ad valorem coming in, that is just wonderful for us as a district and as a community. And then also, just remind everyone, it seems like we say it all the time, ESSER is gone. So there's no more ESSER money on that. And saying that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Robinson.
All right, so Mr. Pat Carroll always puts the estimate of needs together for me and gets looked over. The big thing to remember is that this is a very conservative budget, but this is the official budget for the district. I will present to you guys later in November or December with a more formal budget, but really we're adopting the budget for the district as it is with the estimate of needs. Just to point out, the big items on this estimate of needs are the appropriations for the different funds that we expend out of for the most part. And so that is a general fund appropriation of $98,026,186.13. Building fund appropriation of $4,789,843.65. That does not have a full reflection of what we will receive out of the Red Bud Fund because we did not receive an appropriation for that
for the estimate needs. But that's our state building fund equalization that was enacted about three or 4 years ago now. So that's not on there, but again, this is well within our limits of spending. And then a sinking fund balance, and this is what we're going to use to repay all of our bonds that we passed since 2010 to 2016. And that is $10,671,003.13. So just need your approval so that way we can continue receiving funds and expending funds.
Okay, we have Joe with a motion to approve the estimate of needs. Have a second? Second. Matt Loman with a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, then we will vote. Matt Loman?
Yes.
Joe Blackwood?
Yes.
Kim Tinius?
Yes.
Matt Sampson?
Yes.
Chad Mance? Yes.
Okay, thank you all for that approval. Going down to item E, I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Rhodes and Mr. Liddell in just a second, but this is our Enid High School dropout and college remediation report that needs to be done every year. This is part of our accreditation standards. This is something that might be a little bit dated. It takes us a little bit of while to get the data back to us. I don't have 2024 data just yet. We're always in the rear just a touch. But it's something that Mr. Liddell works very hard with his staff every day tracking this data, and also Dr. Rhodes. So saying that, Dr. Rhodes prepared a document that's at your area, and I will turn it over to those two.
Alrighty guys, you have the document in front of you that has kind of three batches, if you will. The bottom section has a double whammy, but if you start at the top with the Oklahoma State Regents for Higher Education Participation in Developmental Education 22-23, that number on the left-hand side, you'll see it's fall first-time degree-seeking freshman count. So out of Enid High's class of 23, had 474 students, 133 of them attended college right off the bat from that group. That's 28%. State average sat at 33% for the year, so we're a little bit below state average. Our highest numbers in recent times at Enid High have been about 36%. That was right at 2020, and so coming back off the backside of that, things have dipped a little bit, and now we're kind of steadying out and actually projecting ahead for this past year. I believe that number's up. The final numbers aren't released yet, but I think we're back in a steadied and an upward trend again. So 133 of our students. Big piece of this, the numbers are pretty decent and kind of not too far off from where they have been. But if you look across to the far right, that's the percent total of students who need some type of remediation. Sometimes it's in math, sometimes it's in English, sometimes it's in reading. Some students are all of the above as they enter college, where they would be taking the 0 level classes. We're sitting right at 21%, so 1 in 5 or so of our students, when they leave Enid High and go into college, are having to do at least one remedial course. That means 4 in 5, 80%, are actually going straight in and getting after their degree credits right away. So the number's decent, definitely something that we want to improve on, but our kids are going, 80% of them are going and already attend college and being successful when they do so. So that's that top bar there. Any questions of that piece? I mean, I think it's relatively cut and dry. As we say, it is a couple of years. It's not this past year's data, it's the year before, as Dr. Darrow had explained. Anything on that bar?
Do you know what the state average is on remediation?
You know, I don't.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'd have to look that up, Matt. I'm not sure. So I'd have to check into that for you, and I will, because I'm fascinated with that for myself. So I keep tabs on our scores, but it is good to match up across the state and see where we're at. So I will look into that one, making myself a note. However, I do feel confident that our students walking the stage do have a chance to go off and be very successful when they leave us. Next bar down is our ACT scores. Far right is our mean composite score for the year of 2022. So again, another couple of years back. So again, you're kind of playing this catch-up game, so we've got to back up a little bit. But I think it's really important to address because it's what we work on to see what our focuses are on our campus academically when we're digging in and identifying areas that need to improve. So 1707, which was a little bit down from the previous year. The state average for 22 was 18.1, so we're a little over 1 ACT point below. fascinating point from the year before in 21, and we often think ACT scores are solid and where they are, but every now and again that target moves a little bit. The year before, the state average was a 19.7, so the whole state dropped 1.6 in average from 21 to 22. So as you get into the data, it really does become quite fascinating. So that said, our 17.07, about 1 point below, and definitely something that we're looking to identify on. Since that time, we've upped our numbers in our ACT prep classes. Our ACT prep has been a focus across campus, and we've also had workshops. Thanks to our EPS Foundation, they sponsor the workshops. We tend to have at least 2, and in recent years it's been 3 sets per year where we have multiple nights and students can attend all of the different disciplines, or they can focus in, hey, I struggle in math, I'm going to attend the math and get 3 sessions between Mr. Bridenstine and whichever other math teacher we can hook for the night. They hear it from a couple of different voices over a couple of different days. We usually do a weekend version and some evening versions to try and minimize anyone not being able to make it. If someone works Saturdays, hopefully they're off the Monday night that we run our backup session on. So those have been very powerful and I think are getting more popular, but there's maybe 40 or 50 kids at those. That needs to become 300, 400, 500 kids at those. And we've got the staff ready to teach it. It's getting that culture to believe here's where we're going. So we're working on that constantly. As we said, it's a campus-wide focus for raising our ACT scores. We do have a reading intervention program that we started last year. Numbers just got filled into that class. We're up to about 75 kids that are in that course now and getting extra remediation there with the reading intervention, which has got to have a huge effect on that. And our focus was our juniors because they're going to be taking the ACT this year, and then it filtered back sophomores and freshmen so that they can all have an opportunity to get some much needed assistance in areas that will help them be successful.
Mr. Liddell,
yes,
are
sir.
they using the ACT scores to determine that need for remediation?
That's part of it, and we also use our current. So let me twist on that. It's our pre-ACT scores that we look at, along with what is our STAR test. Our STAR test is a reading test that is a standardized test. We do that. It's ultimately a benchmark both in reading and in math. And we take those at 3 points throughout the year. Dr. Darrow started that a few years ago and drove and said, we need the data so we can respond to this. Made a whole lot of sense, and that's what we've been doing on this. So this one's particularly taken from the STAR test, but we come in off the summer with an eye on pre-ACT scores, which we started a big push on a couple of years ago, and our students are now taking pre-ACT 8, 9, and 10. So before they take an ACT as a junior, they've had 3 solid prep developmental states that they've actually had a shot at. So we are, I mean, what's serving our kids, it's getting better each year. And yes, we're kind of in the mud of trying to dig in and where's our results and how do we move the needle on this. But these are all the different things that are being addressed on it. So absolutely. We've got some other really neat pieces of programming. We've got a program called CanMigo that's been worked in, which is a kind of, instead of an open AI, it's a closed AI education source, tabbed in with another deal called Tableau. Our curriculum and instruction team have been instrumental in bringing all that together. So those weave together, and it takes where are areas that we are low, and now it takes it with AI and generates questions. And then we've got another piece that we've driven in, and we've moved from a deal called Naviance. For those of you who have had high school kids, that was the deal loaded on the kids' Chromebook where they did their ICAP, their individual career academic plan. And now we've gone to this Oklahoma Career Guide, which comes from Career Tech, and it has a ton of test prep work in there that students have access to constantly. There's actually 6 ACTs that they could work their way through, and then there's a bunch of questions and directions. So if little Craig's struggling in reading, it's going to meet me at my reading level and then up the ante for me as I go. So really progressive, and should be a nice mentor for what each kid needs at their level. Truly fascinated to see how that helps us this year. Bottom section, guys, is our dropout rate. This has, over the last 5 years, it's kind of fluctuated between 3.1 up to as high as 5.5. We're sitting at 4.6 for the year of 23, and a little higher than we want it to be. And but if you look down at the demographics and how it's broken out, 7 African American, Native American 4, Asian Pacific Islander at 15, and then white at 48, 2 or more races at 13. That's very representative of our demographics. So it's not like there's one group that we're failing or we're not in touch with. It's kind of representative of the whole group. So I feel good in that regards. It's not just one area that we're struggling on, which has really helped. If you look at the bottom row on that right-hand side, dropouts by grades, 9, 10, 11, they all sit right around a little high or a little shy of 30, but by the time they're seniors, we've got most of those kids getting across. It drops to 14, and that's been the trend. So once we get them through that junior year, they're staying with us and we're continuing to rock on. Those key pieces in recent times, we've added a virtual academy that we're serious about. That's going to save some kids from dropping out. We've got a programming across campus called our Behaviour Solutions, which is really an all hands on deck to serve students, extra counselling, extra mentoring, whatever aids that we can take to remove any barricades or any barriers that stop a kid from being successful and being able to get to the graduation and getting across the stage. So we feel good about many of the things that are going on across our campus. We've certainly not arrived. We keep pushing, we keep pressing. Mr. McKinney's driving a huge leadership program. He does a bunch of that on campus, and he's got a mentoring program that we're getting ready to make live over the next couple of weeks. Mr. Mullinax and I, it's kind of close to our heart because we ran it a few years ago pre-COVID, and we had all kinds of kids connected, and it was another adult in the building that really cared and could put an arm around a kid and say, hey, are you doing well? And we had huge success that year. I mean, kids were extra connected, and we're revitalizing that again this year. So excited to make that come alive. So a lot of numbers there, guys. Any other questions, anything else from the highlights that we've shared?
I do have that state average that you were asking about. It's 18.3%.
I am curious on the on the dropout rate. Are there any other? I know race was looked at, but are there any other demographic signs looked at as far as single-parent homes, income level, just multiple other things that could possibly be targeted as far as a at-risk population?
Yep. So they are all things that we're very much aware of, and we've got our counselling team actually started digging in more and more. We've got a new program, Unified Insights through Power School, that now we've got live access to that data. Because when you get this and it's a couple of years out and you're trying to get the next group across the stage, you're exactly right. That's the data we need. Now we've actually got a chance to actually dig in and have it in I'm going to say in a more live time frame that we can actually dig in on that. So our counselling team are very much aware of that. We've got 3, could argue 4 because one of them just came back to us, 4 new counsellors to the team. So there's a lot of finding our feet just now, but we're very much aware and going to attack those things. But is there anything striking right now? I couldn't stand here and tell you that, Matt. So, but we'll work towards having a better answer for you and more thorough. But it's very much on our radar so that we can find every angle that we can help kids get there. Great question.
Mr. Lohman, it does break on down to like economic disadvantage, foster care, male, female, homeless, EL, migrant, special ed. So it gives us our numbers so then we can track that on. But just the state report just gives us those demographics, but it does break it on down by programming.
I feel like it's been asked before in the past, but the state doesn't track vocational at all, correct? It has not, okay. Okay, thank you.
We can sometimes recoup our dropouts if we can recover them through GED or another program, but we have to catch that and turn that back in.
Good. All good, guys.
Thanks, Mr. Liddell. A lot of moving parts. Appreciate the job you do.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, that takes us to item F, and I got some good news. I literally, after our last board meeting, we were talking about the Eisenhower update, and it was within a day or two as I got a really good email that the Department of Defense has got us working inside the portal now. And so we are taking our application. We are now uploading it into the portal. We've actually submitted it to Jay Sweat, our point of contact there. So with any luck, and what I anticipate happening, I anticipate us submitting it and they're going to kick it back, and we're going to resubmit it and kick it back, much like we did. But with any luck, we've put on there tentatively to start with the architecture on November 1st. Spoke with Corbin and Mertz Friday, the architects, and kind of gave them that's 45 days away. So if we can keep submitting and resubmitting for 45 days, hopefully we can get this thing done. They think that it'll take 9 to 10 months for architectural work. So considering November, take away a couple months from there, potentially, fingers crossed, we could be a year out from maybe turning dirt. I'm trying to be optimistic, but again, we're in the portal now, so we are moving the envelope, and we are moving positively. Dr. Robinson, anything I nailed it. Well, we're one step closer than we were last month, and we're going to keep pressing. So, okay, takes me to item G, and just want to remind everyone I put a document there with our strategic planning dates, and that will start tomorrow. We're going to meet with our administrators, and that will be digging into the engage portion of the strategic plan: engage, plan, action, and achieve. So we'll begin that tomorrow with our principals. Looking forward to that. And then we've got a busy week next week. As you can see, we're going to start with Rotary on Monday. We'll meet with some teachers after school, 3:45 on the 23rd, and then have some community members come in that evening. And then we'll start back on the 24th again. So again, that'll be the engaging portion of this. This is going to be a lot of work. This is going to be a lot of detail-driven discussions, but I'm really looking forward to the outcome. I'm really looking forward to the challenge too, and I'm hoping for some meaningful conversations. Again, as I've said, this is going to give us a good feel of our community, a good feel of our families and our students. Any questions on strategic planning? Okay. I'll keep moving on. Just want to remind everybody we've got the Great Land Run this coming Saturday, and that's going to be Saturday, September 21st at the Redbird Farm. So a big thank you to several people that have made this a possibility. Saturday, starting with the Redbird Farm, this is going to be a new location. Appreciate them hosting us. Dr. Eve Schweitzer's done a great job of organizing this, as well as Avadel Hibbets and Weiber Brownlee, Bo Ermacher with Coke, and then the running club of Enid has been awesome as well. There's been so many people donating to this program. So again, this is a great day for Enid Public Schools because all the funds come to us. There is a possibility of rain, so it hadn't rained in 2 months, but there's a possibility of rain Saturday. But anyways, we're looking forward to a great event and a lot of moving parts, a lot of support with our athletic programs are going to be out there helping us too. So should be a lot of fun. All right, that takes me to item I. And just want to hit a few points here. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Robinson and let him hit a few points as well. Many of you all know that the government's offering some tremendous tax breaks and financial incentives for solar panels. This has been presented to us a couple times throughout the Eisenhower process. It's definitely something that we want to definitely consider if the Department of Defense is willing to put up the 80% of the installation of this. A lot of details we have to work out. As we look at this project, starting with our school insurance. We don't want to do anything that would violate our insurance. But this is a great opportunity, and potentially, if we would put up the funds, we could potentially save some money down the road. Again, this is just discussion. This is just a lot of conversations. Reverend Blackwood took some notes, and I shared that with you guys as well. That's in your packet. But saying all that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Robinson.
So this is not an item for decision, really just to bring to attention something that we're looking into as a district. Been looking at this actually since last spring, kind of like Dr. Darrow said with the Eisenhower project. You guys have in front of you 3 pages that represent 3 different campuses in the district. The high school, which has the most roof space available, Garfield and Prairie View, which are our next 2 largest roof space without any interference from outside buildings or anything like that. While we have other schools that have larger square footage, they're multi-story buildings have less square footage on the roof. So this is a project that you could actually have 0 cost to the district with some form of savings in the beginning. And I think, for example, in the high school, there'd be about $1,000 in electrical savings the first year on a 0 cost. There's another option where the district could outright buy the solar panels, get a 30% rebate credit from the federal government. That would come in as cash to the district to offset the solar cost, and then we would immediately start realizing real cost savings with electricity. Then there is another option where you can basically have an investor pay for 7 years. They get the tax credits at the end of that 7 years. We pick up the cost minus whatever that payment has basically been for that 7-year period. So kind of a financing type option, if you want to call that. There's a lot of big question marks out there for me. We know that in 2032 we're going to need new roofs. We know that there's a fire issue with solar panels that we have to investigate. We know that our insurance will have to be involved. We can't save on electricity to have an increase in insurance costs. Not saying that's going to happen, but those are all things and questions we need to get answered. Really, my point for bringing this to you guys tonight is if you have questions, if there are things you have concerns about, that we work as administration and board and community to get those questions answered, to see if this is really the direction the district needs to go. There's not, in my opinion, there's no reason we need to make a decision on this in the very near future, but if we are going to do this, we need to be pulling the trigger on it going into next fiscal year, if that makes sense. So to me, it'd be kind of like, hey, it's the end of June, we want to get this thing going in July, so we'd really be making decisions in that March, April timeframe, because depending on what direction we go, we might have to bid it on these projects. And so that's really where that kind of timeline comes into. But in my opinion, we have lots of time. We have lots of time to get answers, lots of time to answer questions, lots of time to talk about it, to make sure that it is a good decision for the district. So if you have any questions tonight, I definitely will answer them, but I think between Dr. Darrow and I, we've kind of given you all of the information we have at this point in time. The most important piece is I get asked by people when I talk to them about it, what will this look like on our schools? Well, in this handout, there's kind of a diagram there of what solar panels look like on our roof systems at those 3 schools. And so that's kind of to give you an idea and a talking point, if you need it, to see what that really does look like.
In Joe's notes, it talks about Norman. Is there any longevity anywhere in the state, anywhere that we know of that's been doing this for any length of time, that we know how it's,
So this is what I have from Brightwell, because I asked that same question, is solar panels have evolved a lot in the last 10 years. You get a lot more return on your electricity per panel, so to speak. So the long term of this, 40 years down the road, 20 years down the road, I'm going to say even 10 years down the road, is pretty limited. There is Norman that has done this project. I need to reach out to OBA. I don't know if they have panels up yet or if they're getting panels. I know that I've been told that Atwoods has done a solar project. So there are people that, as we go through this process, but before I really go and burden a lot of people with a lot of time, there's some other questions I want to get answered, so to speak, because I don't want to take people's time for something that may not be really that feasible for us in the long run. But there are places I do want to reach out to, but to specifically answer your question, it's my understanding there's nobody with this type of solar panel on a building for more than a 10-year period at this point in time. And I'm gonna step out on a limb and say it might be 5 years with this type of solar power that's available out there. I mean, that's the evolution of this. And I did ask this specific question to the guy. I said, I was around when fluorescent lighting went from a certain bulb to a new bulb, and a lot of districts bought into this fluorescent lighting change. And then 4 years later, we had LEDs. And I said, this district stepped out there and we did an LED conversion, and guess what? LEDs really haven't changed much. The pricing maybe has dropped a little bit on, but not much of a change. I said, will solar panels have another evolution like we had with fluorescent lighting? And he said he thought solar panels had gone as far as they could go. But again, that's one company talking to me. I want to do some more research in that direction, because the last thing we want to do is have $1 million worth of solar panels, and in 4 years it's like, oh, here's the next great thing, and it was right there in front of us the whole time to see that it was coming.
Yeah, I absolutely agree that, it's definitely worth talking about, but
Yeah,
because
efficiency is the biggest thing that you have in that industry. Worth it. The only thing that makes this worth it is the fact that the government's going to give you money back. But if that wasn't there, then...
And that's what really got us going with the Eisenhower project. If they're going to buy 80% of it, then that initial cost is way down. And that's what got the conversation going with us.
Yep.
So,
and they require green initiative as part of the Eisenhower
the zero,
project.
the net zero,
Yep.
So lots of questions. We certainly don't have all the answers yet, but we're exploring it.
The biggest thing is don't put this away. Let's not forget about it, because we need to keep the conversation going, because all of us working together, we're going to get some good answers on this, whether or not it's the right thing for us to move forward with.
Okay, moving on, we'll go down to item J. Just started a new partnership with the Family Resource Center at Central Christian Church. Was over there the other day for a grand opening. Mr. Rader's got a few more things to add on this, but really targeting at some lower grade levels of pre-K, K, and first grade. And this is just really looks like a win-win situation for families and students for after-school intervention. I'll turn it over to Mr. Rader.
Yeah, so this is exactly what it sounds like. The Central Christian Church wants to provide a family resource center. One of the big ask that they have from us is they want to provide after-school tutoring, care, family resource classes for some students. So they've asked us to generate some names. We have tutoring in a lot of our buildings already, but we have some sites that don't have that ability to provide that tutoring because they don't have the same federal funds and things. So we're going to focus on those sites, and we've already generated a list of about 55 to 60 names. We know we could do more, but their target is to have about 30 students starting out. They are starting out. They don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. So we they're going to provide us with a flyer probably in the next day or two. We'll send that flyer home to the parents. That flyer simply is just advertising a parent information night, and those parents that want to attend will attend, and then if they want to sign up for that program, they'll be able to do that. We will provide busing to the center after school, and then parents will need to pick the child up when they get off work or when at the end of the program. But we have the names notified. We're waiting on the flyer, and we'll begin that partnership as soon as we get that and can get it sent out.
Thanks, Mr. Rader. Like I said, a win-win for the family and for the kids, and going to ultimately help the school and students. Okay, real quick discussion item there on item K. Just want to remind everybody, Region 3 OSSBA meeting is going to be at Stillwater. I sent you guys an email link last week. If you're available, I'd love to have you attend that. Dr. Robinson and I will chauffeur you to Stillwater, and I'll let him lead the way so he doesn't have to pass me. But anyways, just put that on your radar. That's coming up here shortly. And the last thing for me, I just want to put this on everyone's radar. We got this Governor Stitt's executive order last week. And this, if you got a chance to read this document or not, it's really challenging all school districts to implement a cell phone policy, which we currently have cell phone regulations within our handbook. He's asking all school districts to have a policy and tighten the reins on cell phones in schools. And I will tell you that as a former teacher and a principal, cell phones are a constant battle in the classroom. And Erin's nodding her head back there. Miss Forrest is agreeing. But it's a constant battle. And so this is something we can definitely dig into and look at tightening up on and addressing. I know a lot of this is going to fall on Dr. Rhodes and her team because this is more of a secondary level issue than it is elementary. But I want to say this too, just to put this on the radar, and this is kind of like confession also, but this is going to be a culture shift for our parents. I know the Darrows have been known to text their kids during the day, and so I'm guilty of that as well. So I do appreciate his leadership on this. I actually talked to Representative Caldwell today about this as well. He ran some legislation last year, and he's going to try to run it again. So cell phones in the classroom, kind of like solar panels, a lot of questions, but definitely something that we're going to be working with as we go forward. So
how is Waller at one point was cell phone free? How is that still? Is that?
It's very much like it is at the other sites. We don't have a hard, fast, lock them away policy. And I was talking to Representative Caldwell about that today. I said, there's 2,000 kids at the high school. If every kid's cell phone was worth $500, is that pretty fair? Mm-hmm. Replacement cost? Well, yeah. Probably under, okay. So, 2,000 kids, $500 cell phone, that's $1 million. It's just kind of hard to believe, but, locking $1 million up is not something we want to be in the business of. Huge liability for us. So every school's kind of got their own niche of, you know, how they do it, and every teacher's kind of got their own niche. It's not a district-wide policy, but it is a battle. Any other questions? Okay, that wraps up my superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Darrow. That takes us to item 4A, discussion and possible action to approve the following consent agenda items. We can take item 4A1 through 7. I have a motion from Joe,
I second.
a second from Kim. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we will vote. Matt Lohman,
Yes.
Joe Blackwood, yes. Kim Tinius,
Yes.
Matt Sampson,
Yes.
Chad Mance, yes. Takes us to B, discussion and possible action to approve the district financial report for August 2024. Dr. Robinson.
All right, well, can't say there's really good news. I can't say there's any bad news with the finance report, but I do want to talk about something that was on the encumbrances, and that's property acquisition. As always, especially around Enid High, because we know of growth of programs and just where things are at Enid High, as property becomes available at reasonable cost and based on where we might have future plans, we are picking up a house over there that I just received today. Hopefully we're going to close on it next Monday, and that's $81,000 for about a 2,000 square foot house. So again, really good price, 2 lots, frees up a lot of space over there. Again, we still have money left in Fund 72. We don't talk about Fund 72 very often because down there at the bottom, that's the remainder of the 2016 bond funds, and the number that's in there that we have left is a little over $300,000 for property acquisition. So $81,000 of that's coming out. It's dwindling, but as property becomes available, we can use the building fund to access some of that. So just kind of another key point, gives me a chance to talk about a fund that we don't really talk about too often, and talk about a purchase order that you guys approved. So if there's any questions on the finance report, again, it's just that time of year. It's kind of boring right now on finance because we're getting everything kicked off. Expenditures are still coming in. First payroll is going out here next week. So we'll have a lot more to talk about as we kind of get in the year, get into October and November. So, but everything's looking really good. I don't see any concerns at this point in time.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the district financial report?
So moved.
Yeah, Matt Sampson with a motion, Matt Lohman with a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote. Matt Lohman,
Yes.
Joe Blackwood,
Yes.
Kim Tinius,
Yes.
Matt Sampson,
Yes.
Chad Mance, yes. Takes us to 5, new business. Does anybody have any new business? Okay. Go to 6, reports, items of information, board comments, and/or questions. Colonel Little's not with us today. Does any other board member have any comments or questions? Okay, to 7. Next regular meeting is October 22nd, 2024 at 6 p.m. in this building, in this room. Item number 8.
President Mance, I see no reason to go to executive session tonight. We will definitely entertain you bypassing that if possible.
Okay, then we can skip to item number 10. Discussion and possible action to approve those individuals and/or positions listed on the attached Exhibit A. Got a motion? Have a second? Have a second from Joe. All right, is there any discussion? We'll vote. Matt Lohman,
Yes.
Joe Blackwood, Kim Tinius,
Yes.
Matt Sampson,
Yes.
Chad Mance, yes. 11, discussion and possible action to approve adjunct instructor status as also allowed by the Oklahoma State Department of Education for individuals listed on Exhibit B, listed as 1. Is there any, I have a motion, excuse me.
So moved.
Second.
So I have a motion for Matt Lohman, second from Joe Blackwood. Is there any discussion for that? Okay, we'll vote. Matt Lohman,
Yes.
Joe Blackwood,
Yes.
Kim Tinius,
Yes.
Matt Sampson,
Yes.
Chad Mance, yes. Takes us to 12, notifications of resignation, retirements, and/or Resignations is approved by the superintendent and listed on attached Exhibit A. There's no action needed for that item. Takes us to 13, adjournment. We're adjourned.
Thank you.